All right, welcome back to the Zach Clark Show. I mean, when you think of cool, like this guy is just cool. He walks in the room, he's cool. Tommie Runz. I am pumped you're here, bro.
Man, I'm pumped I'm here. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
This guy, we became Instagram friends, how we do in kind of like the running community, and we've been following each other. And then all of a sudden, one day I click on his profile, and you hit people right in the mouth. Black, sober runner.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start there, man. Like why do you feel like that's telling people what's up.
Yeah, I mean, at first it was all about the sober part first, because like that's what I needed. Because if somebody asked me, well, like what's most important to me, sobriety's first, and then kids, and then everything else, you know. Because I think without sobriety,
So he's sober.
Yeah. I mean, because like without sobriety, then I just don't think I'd be here, you know. And if I was here, I would not be the person that my kids have come to know for the last like 7 years, you know.
Yeah.
So I lead with that, but then I'm obviously black first, you know, and the running part, like it's black sober runner and vegan too on top of that. It's just not something that like I grew up seeing. I mean, none of the three. So I like showing people and starting with that. Like if you're coming to me for anything, to follow me, to work with me or whatever, I need you to know where we're starting at. And I feel like that's where you got to put it right in the bio, bro. Like let them know.
I love that. Coming in with the Van Halen shirt
Yeah.
on and just owning it all. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So how long you sober?
7 years, over 7 years. Yep. January 11th, 2017.
Okay. I'll
Yeah.
remember that because my real birthday is the 17th.
Yeah.
You're a sober Capricorn. But,
Okay.
Anyway, so where'd you grow up?
I grew up in just outside of Detroit.
Okay.
And so like my grandparents and all that lived in Detroit. My mom had us like in Southfield, just outside of Detroit, and raised me and my sister as best she could. My father passed when I was 8. He died of a stroke at 39 years old.
No shit.
Yeah, so it's like.
Do you remember that?
I do. Yeah. I'm. You know how like childhood memories are weird. Like you only remember. Like I wish I could remember more about them. You know, more of the good things. You know, but it's just like I remember like that day like it was like yesterday. You know what I mean? And I'm 39 now and about to turn 40. So like I've officially like outlived him, which is a weird thing to say and to feel. And that's partly why like what led me to sobriety in general. But yeah. So I grew up in just outside of Detroit, and my mom did an amazing job, and with her family.
She's still around?
Yeah, for sure. She's in Savannah, so I guess if you call that around.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, she's actually been really involved lately. Like she's like the last couple of years, she's come to a lot of my races. She was in Berlin with me last year, in London. And now she like is like my like kind of like my manager a bit. Like she's on some of the calls with me to kind of like as I'm talking to brands and stuff like that, she'll jump on the call. So she's just been like, we used to get her Mother's Day cards and Father's Day cards because she like had to play both of those roles, and she just did an amazing job at that, along with like my grandparents or whatever. But yeah, it was cool life, but it was like I definitely carried a lot of like confusion, I guess, when it comes to like how I should feel about everything. And then I think that led to some choices that has me sober here today. You know?
Yeah. No, I'm sitting here thinking how beautiful that is. And I mean, my sobriety has made me so much more thoughtful.
Yeah.
And I sit down with you, and when you're social media friends with someone, you don't know what's going to happen when you finally sit down with them. And I just feel so comfortable sitting here with you, probably because we have a little bit of that shared experience, you know, being out there, drinking, drugging, whatever it is, and then, you know, kind of coming out of the darkness and into the light. So when your dad dies at 8, your mom's raising you and your sister, when does the drinking or drugging, I don't know your story, so when does that really start to ramp?
Yeah, so like drinking started for me like a senior year, high school. Like I remember, it was crazy. My friend just randomly brought a drink, and he's just like, you want one of these like nips or whatever? I'm like, sure. Like that was the first time I like really drank. Like I had like tasted beer before, like a little bit, but like I took this drink, and like at that moment, like I just felt lighter. felt like I just didn't care as much of what people thought. All these like illusions or like this, like the inhibition was gone. And I was like immediately like, this is something for me, this is something for me. And so like from that moment, it was just like off to the races. Like, we are best friends, me and drinking, and this is what we're going to do. And then over time, it's like, this is unfortunately like who I am. And there's like no separating the two. But I started then, and like I had signs early that like I probably should stop, like within 2 weeks of me starting drinking, I woke up in the school on the floor,
High school
in the bathroom. My mom standing over me, the principal, and like the police liaison for the school, like 2 weeks into like my drinking ever, right? And that would have been a sign of like, okay, this isn't for you, like you can't handle it. But I'm like, okay, let's double back, and let's try to like plan this differently. Maybe we'll start with beer instead of like liquor, And that's when I knew like I should have known then I had a problem, like, because anybody else would have been like scared straight at that moment,
right?
But I was like, nah, let's start this over, but let's do it the right way. Maybe we started too fast, and then ramped back up into like, drinking from 17 to 33, so
16 years.
Yeah.
And for you, so we're seeing a lot more talk about trauma, our childhood, our experiences, what makes us drink, what makes us abuse substances. When you started drinking or over those 16 years, do you feel like you were just kind of born with this thing? Were you drinking at something, or what was?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it just felt so it felt comfortable for me. Like, it felt, like I said, it gave me a part of me that I'd like maybe just I didn't have. I don't know if I was like drinking at the fact that I lost my father at a young age, but I mean, I don't even think I was old enough to think about it like that. Like, right. Oh, I'm sad or I'm angry or I'm depressed, so I'm gonna drink. It was just like I had it, and I'm like, I don't feel whatever that is anymore, And I think I was like an anxious kind of kid, like thinking about what everybody else was like thinking about me, because I wanted to like fit something. And
that's alcoholism.
Yeah, and it was just like that. Now that I had that drink, I didn't feel that anymore. And then I also, because drinking's cool, I guess, like in high school, then all of a sudden now you have like, you're getting more like praise or whatever in those moments. So I was like, this is for me. And then I just used it however I needed to. Like, if you drink because you're happy, you drink because you're sad, you drink because you had a bad day, you had a good day, all that stuff. So it was like whatever came at me, like drinking I was able to fit that in that moment, and just like, this is why, I had a lot of excuses of why I drank, really.
And was running in your life then? Were you an athlete?
No.
Nothing.
I mean, I golfed in high school.
Okay.
So like I was like decent at that, I guess. And then
you still playing?
No, man, I had to decide like, okay, like how much are you gonna run 50, 60, 70 miles a week, or are you gonna golf? Like you got to decide when you got like kids and stuff like that. Cause I'm the type of, so maybe it's an addictive personality vibe, but like if I go golf one time right now, like I have to go to the driving range the next day. I got to go like the rest of the week. I got to get back out on the course, So like I can't do like the casual golfing, you know what I'm saying?
Especially when you start putting yourself out there. Like that's what I find, right, on whether it's on social media or just life in general, or people start to know who you are. It's like, I got to be good at whatever I'm doing, because
No, I mean,
ego. That's the ego. For me, that's the ego. I'm not gonna,
No, I mean, I think it's ego for sure. Like, I don't know if it was like that. Like, I got to prove it, but I just don't like. I'm like all in or all like or not, And that's just happened to be like how it was for drinking too. And that's when I knew, like, along the way, I knew like there is gonna be no casual moments of like, oh, I can just go to a party and drink or whatever, and every now and then or whatever. So I knew that if me and drinking ever broke up, it was gonna be final. You know what I mean? But yeah, like, so I wasn't very into sports and stuff like that. I played with all the friends in the neighborhood and all that stuff. So I played all the sports when it came to like that. But it was once I stopped like golfing, that was like pretty much like a sedentary lifestyle from then on, Are you
still connected to any of the kids you grew up with? Like, are you
yeah, like just a few. I was always like a small circle type of guy, like I always had like 2-3 friends that I could, like I just didn't ever like having too many personalities to either balance or get close enough to me to that where they maybe know more about me than I needed them to, you know? Like, so if I got 2 or 3 of y'all, I'm good, right? And like right now, I kind of joke with my friends now because I have like 5 or 6 of them, and I'm like, I don't know,
Someone's
one of
getting
y'all,
cut.
somebody got to go. But like, no, it's cool to have like a couple of them still that like know me and know everything that I've been through. I'm very open to, you know, about like if someone, I'm not gonna like hide the fact. I don't hide anything like when it comes to like sobriety or like the journey or like why I'm here, because some of it's like possibly embarrassing, you know, but the fact that I'm like able and willing to talk about it, I think makes it a little less embarrassing for maybe somebody else that's going through it. So I don't have any like I don't have any moments where I can't share, you know, which is kind of funny. But like sometimes when I say something like maybe I shouldn't have said that on the podcast, but it is what it is because somebody's gonna watch it one day and be like, okay, like maybe I can head that way too.
Right. No, I mean, it's interesting that you talk about that because when we started this podcast, right, it's all about we want to connect with stories. I want to connect with people who have a purpose and who are comfortable sharing, you know, whether it's sobriety or like I had my sister on and she had some stuff go on where she lost a kid. And so like whatever it is, we want to talk to people who are comfortable. And it's funny, like we'll get little inklings that, hey, so-and-so sober, or like we'll DM them and people don't want to talk about it because I think of that stigma.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, like if you're in like some type of a certain like industry or profession, maybe that's like a thing where you gotta like, you can't divulge that information. But I mean, the way I look at it is, you know, people sharing their stories authentically and like truthfully in rooms saved my life, you know, because when I walked into the first one ever, people in that room didn't look like me. They were middle-aged to older white people. They had nice cars outside that I saw walking in, and I'm like, this ain't for me, but I'll just go in this one time and I'm out.
Right.
And like, cause there's no way that these people are gonna like understand like how I feel or what I've been through. And then I heard, 15 people just like tell my story in different ways, but about their own lives, and that's when I knew I'm like, okay, I'm an alcoholic and I just got to figure this out. Like, how do I move forward,
Right.
And so I had this opportunity to be on a podcast or like this like live thing with these folks called From Believe in the Run. They had me on for like 30-minute little spot on a live back when people were doing like IG lives all the time.
Yeah.
And then he's like, yeah, jump on, we could talk about whatever. And then he kind of asked me some questions, and then I halfway answered and like pivoted away from like my real answer. And then I got off of the thing and I felt so bad. I felt like if you ever have another chance for someone to give you their platform or share their platform and ask you a question about something, you're not doing this whole thing just to like fake tell stories, So tell the story all the way through, or tell your story all the way through, because why else are we doing this, And then that's the moment when I was like, the next podcast I got on, I just told, it is what it is. This is who I am, and here's what I've learned along the way. And that's what I'm going to do, and no matter how many times we tell the same story over and over, that's the point, is like somebody may walk into a room and hear you tell your truth. And it doesn't have to be about addiction. I mean, whatever it is, it's about like representation or depression or whatever it is. If you just tell your story all the way through and don't worry about like what'll get clicks and stuff like that, maybe you could like change somebody's life.
Yeah. No, it's so true. And I remember for me, right, like the first time I'm getting ready to tell my story in an environment or in a meeting or whatever it was, and I'm talking to someone before, and I said, like, I'm really nervous. And they said, there's only one story, man. That's the truth.
Yeah.
There's only one story. You don't have to make anything up.
Yeah.
Like, those days are over.
Yeah.
And when he said that, I kind of felt this like sense of ease and comfort. And it has helped me understand over the years that if I tell my story and someone doesn't relate to it, or whatever it is, they want to judge it, that's okay. Like, I don't need that person, and I don't need their opinion. Like, because for me, at the end of the day, being honest and being vulnerable is a huge part of who I am. And I'm just, on a daily basis trying to embrace that. So I love you for that, and I love that you're willing to share it. So I want to backtrack because I want to get into the running and some of the representation stuff and just everything that you stand for, which I always say, like, you spend enough time on social media, it's hard to get inspired. But you're one of those people that I see your stuff, I'm like, this guy really wants to make the world a better place. Like, he really gives a shit about people, which is rare, which is rare. So you were sharing before we started, you have a 17-year-old and a 14-year-old. Yeah. You're almost 40. Uh-huh. You got sober at 33. So I'm doing the math here. There was probably a good, 10 years where you had kids and you were still ripping and running? Or what did that look like?
Yeah. I didn't even think about it like that. So she was 10 when I got sober, my daughter. I don't even it looked like a dad that, like, kind of just didn't do anything, but work. Like, the cool part was, a cool and scary part for me was that, like, I had I was like the functional alcoholic, and so, like, I started the job and I made my way up. I made good money. I didn't lose my job, and that's not why I went decided to go sober. I didn't get any trouble. I made the decision on my own, and that was kind of the scary part because I didn't have any, like, reason.
I'm just gonna stop you there for a second. I think that's important for people to hear. There was no legal, we can get sober just because we want to get sober.
Yeah, like, I mean, I had to hit my version of rock bottom probably, and if that wasn't it, I don't want to know what the next step was for real, because like that was scary enough, and it's like so it was like that's like the deception or like the trick that I kind of like want to talk about more often is the fact that just because everything is working doesn't mean it couldn't either work better or that the way it's working is dangerous for you, your family, or whoever else you're around in the long run. And so, that was like what it was. I was just like the guy that was just kind of like working or kind of fake working too. Like, I'd be working, but also just like drinking on the job and doing everything that like you're just not supposed to do and trying to hide it a little bit. Like, obviously they knew I drank, but no one knew, like, to the extent of which, like, nobody saw me like finish the drink, at 7 a.m. when I woke up that I like hadn't finished the night before. Like, nobody knew like how much it was going on. And so, like, I had to like live with that and try my best to like be normal around my daughter, as she got older. And like, I had like, I'd like to think she didn't like know like dad's like, wasted right now. But I tried my best to like make it look normal as possible. So my son, luckily for him, I mean, he was like, 7 or 8. So he didn't, I'm sure he had like, he had no idea. But I'm glad though, because like now the guy that he knows, like, he just knows a guy that runs and doesn't drink, and is like taking a chance at like doing stuff. And then even my daughter, if she does remember it, by now she probably is like mixed. She probably can't like, separate who was who. And she definitely has more good dad than maybe the drunk dad. And that makes me like super proud though, because like the memories I have of my father were like the few that I have were good, like I don't have any weird memories about him, and he was a drinker too, but I'm not sure like to what extent. And I'm just happy that like I'm here with them still because of maybe a decision I made or a sacrifice at the time, feel like a sacrifice, a decision or sacrifice that I made to be here longer for them, So yeah, it's cool. It's super cool now because like I don't do anything in front of them that like that I'd have to say, no, don't do it. No, don't do this. Just let this just be a dad thing,
Yeah, but I don't have kids, but I've thought about that, right? Like, as a sober person, how do I create an environment where I'm not telling my kids what to do and allowing them to have that experience, even though everything inside of me would probably want to tell them to not drink or not experiment or not do the things that I did for years.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, like, I haven't gotten to that, like, I mean, she's 17, so it's like, I'm hoping that I don't have to have that conversation anytime soon. I guess I started at 17 too, though, but, so it's like, I'm trying my best to not overkill the fact that I'm sober. Like, you know, just she knows it now, but I don't like talk about it every day. Like, you know, this is the, you know, I don't want to act like I'm teaching or something and then have her more curious about it than she needs to be. But there's people in our family that drink, you know, like she's seen people drink and she's seen the good and bad side of drinking maybe, you know, and then, but she's also seen me be the same all the way through it all.
Right.
And hopefully some of the decisions I make are because I'm sober, and maybe she aligns those things like, okay, maybe I don't need to drink like these people are.
Right. So January 10th, 2017.
11th.
January
11th,
the day
2017.
before.
Oh, the day before. Okay, now we're talking. Now we're getting into the darkness.
I know what happened on January
Man.
11th. We got struck, you know.
Yeah.
But what was going on? What did it look like? Bring me into that
Before.
moment and why you finally put your hand up and surrendered to this beautiful life that we have.
Yeah, man, it was a bunch of things. It was like that like nagging memory of like, you know, your dad died at 39 and left you and your sister here just to figure it out, you know what I mean? And then, but I was feeling like physical things at one point where I could like, if I could like click my fingers together, it was a delayed feeling for like by a second, you know, to the touch. It was like just strange stuff going on. High blood pressure. I was at, you know, 32, 33, taking like blood pressure medicine every day, and I was supposed to take it forever. You're never going to be able to get off this stuff.
Right.
But then also it was just every time that I knew I had a problem. I mean, I knew I had a problem for a long time. Like, and it was just, I just tried to make light of it, make jokes about it and all that stuff. But every time that I would like try to stop for like, you know, January 1st, I'll at least go dry January or try to stop for a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. I'd never last for like, it'd be like a day or 2 or 3, and then I would be drinking again. And so that last time, it was like me and my friend that I'm still friends with now from back in the day. He's like, every time I would say, I'm gonna like, yeah, man, we should stop drinking. He'd be like, all right, let's do it. Let's take some time off, you know? And he would somehow be able to make it happen, but I'd always be the one to fold. So like January 1st, 2017, we're like, we're going to do this. We're going to go all of January. And on the 4th of January, like at his house, he had drinks there because his wife was drinking too. And I woke up at like 4 a.m. and like I had went to sleep sober, and I'm like, this is great. We're 4 days in. Woke up at 4 a.m. and then like, oh, I'm just gonna have a drink, and then drank like 3 drinks, and woke up feeling so dumb and stupid and miserable, right? And I just felt it wasn't no one cared. Like it wasn't like they didn't judge me. It didn't matter. But I felt so low and just defeated, like. Because I just felt like I was waking up every day a loser. Like every time I would wake up and try to win the day, I would lose. And it was the weirdest, darkest, like most depressing thing that you could like that I could imagine that I could just do to yourself, you know? And so my mom called me one day and she always checked in because she was living in another state. So every time she'd check in, she's like, how's my son doing? And I'd be like, oh, great, blah, blah. And I'd try to like sober up real quick, talk to her, you know? And then one day she called me and then she was like, how's my son doing? And I'm like, not so good. And I just decided to tell her the truth. She didn't ask why, but she was like, well, you got like employee assistance programs probably. You got insurance. Reach out to them, talk to them, and they'll get you somebody to talk to. And you might not have to pay for 1 or 2 or 3 sessions or whatever. Right. And so the employee assistance people called me, and I decided at that moment again to actually tell them the truth. And I told them, they're like, how many drinks do you do? And I normally would be like, 1 or 2 would do it, you know. And I was like 5, 6, 7, 8, depending on whatever it is. And they're like, okay. And then they got me to a therapist. And I decided to like, when I was going to meet her, January 10th, I was going to meet her on the January 11th. And I'm like, I had a drink at like 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something like that. I'm like, I can't go here drunk.
Right.
Or smelling like alcohol. So I'm not going to drink. In the morning when I wake up, I'm just going to go to this thing, see what happens. And then when I got there, she asked me the same questions, and I told her all of the truth. And, like, those 3, like, truths, like, saved my life, you know? And at that moment, she was like, you know what? There's a thing called AA. I'm sure you heard of it. I have a client that is okay with me referring people to him to go.
Yep.
So she's like, you can meet up with him on Sunday. This was Wednesday. She's like, meet up with him, go in the meeting. He's a cool guy. And if you like it, great. If you don't, whatever. And I decided from that point, let me try to go a few more days. I don't want to, maybe something's happening here. Let's not drink between now and this meeting. And then hit that meeting, and it was just like, let's go.
Almost every, I love that, man. I mean, I love it. And I think of my own story and the countless other stories of recovery that I've heard over the years. And almost every one of them starts with that moment of clarity, that 1 second, that window opens where we get honest and we tell someone. Like for me, I always joke, it wasn't a therapist, it wasn't a doctor, it was a bank teller, you know, that kind of swooped in and saved my life and gave this opportunity for my dad to walk in and say, like, son, we're going home, which I still get goosebumps every time I say it, which meant I was going to treatment and my journey was starting. But for whatever reason, alcoholics, drug addicts, people with substance abuse issues, we love to lie. We love to make it seem, you know, less severe than it really is.
Yeah, like, I mean, I would drink all at home, and I'd go to parties and then not drink much, you know, like, because I just didn't want people to know, like, how wild it was, like, and how uncontrollable it was. So I'd already get there kind of drunk, you know, and then, like, oh yeah, he's normal, he only had a couple, you know, and then he left. But that's, like, because I'm, like, about to crash out right now. Like, I gotta get to the crib. But yeah, it's like, when I look back at how much of my life was a lie, you know, like, every moment of it really was, even to myself. And that's, like, that was the part that was just, like, kind of eat away at you. I mean, it's hard enough to, like, to lie to people that love you and you love back. But it's when it's, like, to a point where you don't even know, like, what to believe when you say it to yourself. That's wild.
Yeah.
Like, because you can't even trust yourself at that point.
It's the life I lived for 27 years until I got sober. And I identify with that. So my second favorite story for me personally is, like, after I get sober, well, when I get messages from people, right, there's two things that the two most frequent questions I get are, how do you get sober? And I'll respond to those because I love that. And I try to just be a good servant to our community in that regard. And then the second is, how'd you start running? I hate running. I can't run. And I was a guy I played 3 sports growing up for 27, you know, like, the whole thing. I never could run. And I'll never forget my story, my running journey. And yours is coming next. That's why I'm prefacing it. I was in rehab. I was about 2 months. I stayed in rehab for 4 months, and I was there for about 2 months. And I had looked in the mirror, right? And I had really just said, okay, like, I don't like what's looking back on me, because I put on a lot of weight. I was probably 245, 250 pounds, I think, at intake, and got into treatment and kind of ate my way to 255 or whatever it was. And for me, there was this hill outside of the treatment center, and I just started walking. I just started walking up the hill and walking back down and walking up the hill. And I would get up super early, and all the therapists would kind of be driving in. I got so crazy with it that they actually ended up putting me in a body image group, because they thought I was trying to, like, lose so much weight so quickly, which I probably was. But, you know, man, it started on that hill. And I ran casually for a couple years, and then eventually I moved to New York and watched the New York City Marathon in, I guess, like, 12 or 13. One of them was canceled in there because of Sandy, and then ran my first in 14 or 13. This will be my 10th this year.
Oh, sweet.
I've done it every year since I did it. But what about you? Like, how did you start running? What?
Man, I mean, it was for me, like, I got sober, and then all of a sudden it was like I got like time and, like, energy to do stuff, and then I started going to the gym and lifting weights and, like, kind of doing that and going 6 days a week for that, just because I got to go all in. And I got kind of buff and big and all that stuff.
Oh, you were going for it.
Yeah. So I was like, my Instagram name was Tommie Guns.
Tommy, no.
Swear
you
to
went
God.
from Tommie Guns to Tommie Runz?
Yeah.
No
So,
shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was
Tommie Guns to
Tommie
Tommie
Guns with a Z, right? And, you know, a play on word, you know what I'm saying? Tommie Guns.
Yeah.
And so, like, I had got big and, like, bulky and all that, and was like, you know, because at one point, like, first like month or so of being sober, I was like, started. You can start seeing yourself again. You know, like you can actually like look at the mirror and go like really analyze what you see. And I hated it. You know, and so I'm like, let me do something. Let's get physical. And because I had never gone after like, you know, physicality like in that way of, you know, just like purposely trying to get something out of my body, and then did that for like a year. And then went vegan just like on a random challenge because I was on this journey of like self-improvement and self-actualization and just trying to be better.
Was that hard? Going vegan?
No, it was like a 2-week challenge, and then I felt amazing. Like, so oddly enough, bro, like I felt the energy shift that I felt after going vegan for like 3-4 days was bigger than the shift I remember from going sober, which was strange.
Okay.
So I'm like, something's weird, you know? So I'm like, let's stay here for a little bit, watched a couple documentaries that obviously kind of like confirmed what I thought I was feeling. So I'm like, we're vegan all the way. So like, that was just like a cold turkey, I guess, decision to go vegan. And
still to this day.
Yeah. So I'm like 6 years vegan. Yeah. And then, but then like a month or so after that, I got invited to do the Rock and Roll Half Marathon in Chicago. Like a client of mine was like, hey, you're fit, you're buff, you could do it. You know, running's the same thing as being in the gym. Sure.
It's not.
It's not at all.
No.
So I go out there, like, and I started like training, you know what I mean? Wrong shoes, wrong everything. No like training plan or whatever. And then just trying to do whatever I could. Ran the Chicago half, miserable. But then it was like at that point in these, you know, like when you get sober, you like have all these firsts, you know? Like this year first, everything's a first birthday, first everything. And a year and a half later though, like I had this first feeling of like really being like super proud of myself of like this thing that I just did. And it was only 13.1 miles, but it was like my family was there. It was raining. It was kind of like all of these things that I just never thought I'd be like happened all in this one moment. And I'm like, okay, like let's keep running, you know? And then I just kind of locked back in, started running more. My cousin was like, bro, you're not Tommie Guns anymore. You Tommie Runz. You should just change it. He kind of joked, and I'm like, I checked to see if it was available. It is. We're changing this name, you know. And then ever since then, it just started running.
We talk a lot about mental health. So I hear you were in the gym, and I've had periods over the past 13 years where I've lifted heavy weights, tried to, you know, see what I could do. But there's nothing for me better than a run for my mental health. How do you? I
think so. I mean, I can feel that too because the gym for me, I'll just speak for myself. It's like there's quite a bit of like vanity and ego in that for me, you know, and it's very it's very focused on the outward, and I had faked what I looked like on the outside or thought I looked like on the outside for so long that it was helpful at that moment, and it kind of like positioned me to be like fit enough to not like break in half when I start running, you know?
Yeah.
But the running thing for me is there's much more time like alone in your head. Even when you're with people, you're still like having to constantly process like who you are at that moment and like what you want to have happen. And then there's nothing like signing up for a race and like going out there with all these other people that you don't really know and running almost in silence with thousands of people. And it's on the mental health side, there's not too many things that you can do for, you know, in my view, that every year or every month you kind of learn something new about yourself if you continue to run. You know, like you can run the same 10 miles over and over and find out something new about yourself, you know, in a month from now on that same route.
Right.
And it's like one of those processes. It kind of reminds me of like the sober walk. I mean, because it's like 1 mile at a time, you know, one interval at a time, one everything at a time. And you have to stay now. You can only control what you can control in that moment. You know, like it's just like especially a marathon. It's just you like at mile 5, you have to start like talking to yourself and asking yourself the right questions and reminding yourself to stay present. And I didn't get that like in the gym or whatever.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other sports that are kind of similar, but running for me is that.
Yeah, the thing, I mean, there's this synergy between the recovery community and the running community, which for me, it just made so much sense. The running community was kind of my next evolution of my greater journey, if you will. Like I knew when I got sober, I love these people. Like I sit down with someone like you and we start to share and we're fast friends. And that happens for me every day that I sit down with someone who's seeking this thing. And with the running community, it's the same. And they can both be free.
Yeah.
I mean, to run, you need a pair of kicks and a pair of shorts. To get sober, like there's rooms, there's places you can go.
Yeah.
It's free, man.
Yeah.
And it's an existence that, I mean, I put it up against anything.
And it's cool because like everybody, and that's one of the part that first race when I realized that like we all started at the same start line.
The half.
Yeah. And all started at the same start line and we all had the same goal of like finishing the race, some at different times and different speeds and all that stuff. But that's like the same thing. Like when you walk into, when you're around people that are sober, is like the same, we all have the same goal, is just to stay sober and help other people, and that's really, the running community in general is like stay running and help other people get running. You know?
Do you remember your time?
My first one? I think it was like 149, like 50 or
Okay,
149,
right
like
there.
30
I mean, you
something.
were-
Yeah. I was right on the precipice of breaking records. Yeah. No, like, I mean, it was cool though. Like I had like, it was so new to it that I had like, I'm going to run 135. Like, I don't know what I said to myself, but it was just a wild like number that I have no idea how I was going to figure it out.
And are you are you a 3-hour guy in the marathon, and what are you now?
A PR is like 246.59.
Damn.
Yeah. So like it's
You're
been
cooking.
I mean, yeah, something.
That's cooking, bro. I
know.
mean, the running thing is crazy because I didn't want it to be competitive.
Yeah.
I didn't want to give a shit about
You can't
my
do
time.
that.
And then I ran 10 marathons and I ran them that way, party running, the whole thing. And then you DM me about Mario Fraioli and said you should get a coach. And I was like, all right, I'll get a coach. And I got a coach, and now it's a whole nother.
Yeah, it's cool though. Like it's like because it's you can always challenge yourself. Because then you can pick any distance, and then you can just go after that. Like it doesn't always have to be marathons. It doesn't always have to be.
You see all these guys doing Leadville?
Yeah, like I mean, I'm not doing
you?
Leadville anytime soon.
No.
No. I mean, if somebody was like, say a random brand was like, hey, we'd love for you to do this race with us, and here's plenty of time, and we'll give you some resources.
And some cash.
I'd go, and some cash. Yeah, resources. Resources, shoes, cash, training. I would do it. I mean, it seems crazy to do 100 miles, but like I've done like crazier things for like $0 or zero, self-improvement at all. I'd love to try it. I think that I would probably fall apart somewhere in there, but it's just something new to do and to challenge myself with.
Yeah, for people that don't know, Leadville is a 100-mile, and you probably know better than I do, a 100-mile race. You start at 9,000 feet of elevation. It's in Colorado. Only half of the people who start the race finish it.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it is. Isn't like Leadville, like one of those is like the oldest trail race. Is it Leadville?
It might be.
Or Western States, one of those. Yeah.
I'm such an asshole, though. I see these, like I'm watching on Instagram this weekend. I'm like, I could do that. Like that's what I tell myself with all this shit. And I
so you were watching the Olympics, like, yo, I could probably do this.
Nah,
yeah.
I mean that's crazy.
Yeah.
All right, so I want to shift gears because I know we talked a little bit offline, and we've talked a little bit today about representation. You talked about your experience getting sober and walking into a place where it was a bunch of middle-aged white dudes. That was my experience. And even when I walked into rehab and I was a middle-aged white dude, it did occur to me that I'm here with a bunch of middle-aged white dudes. And it got me thinking early on about that. And then I know you've also been vocal about, representation in the running community.
Yeah.
And so I want to give you the mic for a minute and talk about, because if I try to do it, I'm going to say the wrong thing. I'm real about that. But I want to lift your voice up and lift your purpose and passion up and hear you talk about why it's so important for you to be a black sober runner and say it in that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about like just the word representation in itself. It's just being in a space that changed, both of those places changed my life forever, and I'll be forever grateful for sobriety and running. And if there's people that are like in a situation where they don't know how to get out of, and they're just like looking outward to see like what things they can grab onto, and they never see anybody that's like mildly cool and sober, then maybe that's
You're
not
very cool.
I mean, I'm just saying, but that's not an option for them, because like when I thought about being sober before, I'm like, what am I gonna do? Like, no one's gonna like me anymore. No, I won't be cool. I can't do anything. I won't be fun. I won't be funny anymore. Whatever. I thought all these weird things because I didn't know anybody sober.
Yeah.
So like, it's important for me to say that I'm sober. It's important for me to be in the running space. I mean, the running space is, especially when I started not that long ago. I mean, at least 2018. I mean, you get to some of these start lines and it's just not that many black people out there. And I didn't see black folks running for recreation or sport or whatever growing up unless they're on TV. And I just want to be one of the reasons why that changes, why like a kid or anyone, it doesn't have to be a kid, like someone else sees me running or me and my friends running and they say like, oh, okay, like I could try that or try some version of that. And that's why like somewhere in there, like when I was starting this whole like Tommie Runz journey and my Instagram page was like starting to get some attention, I started working with some brands, was the like 2020, and then 2021 happened. Black Lives Matter resurgence was like very needed at that moment. And I realized like how important it is for me to like not only embrace the fact that I'm a runner, but that I'm a black runner, and make sure that like everything that I do from that point on, that like people that look like me and came up like me can see me and resonate too. Like, cause it isn't, it's not part of it for me is not just being black, but it's just being as authentically me as I can be, so that when someone sees it, they see that I'm being real, and it's not like, oh, he's black, but he's not like me, because that can be an issue too. But my goal is to just be like, to everything I make, every piece of content I put out or whatever I say, I kind of like do this thing where like I run it against like what would my friends think of this moment, And if my friends think it's like lame or stupid or whatever, because it to me even is lame, but it may get some attention, I can't do it, like, because it would be cool if like I could just drop some like silly, fun thing, but to me it just wouldn't feel natural or authentic. So I try to stay there. But to answer like the question is like, I need, if I'm here and alive because of sobriety, and then also much more healthy and doing some of these cool things and sitting here with you because of running, then I need to be that and show that black people can do this too. And like we'll run past people and people say, oh man, I want to be out, I need to be out there with you. And the more that happens, the more some people will start running, and then maybe some people, we look up in 5, 6, 7 years that there's more people at the start of like the Berlin Marathon. It's just not seen as much as it just like I'm trying to like talk about it. It just sucks that it's not automatic that black folks don't just see an opportunity to get out, be healthy, and challenge themselves mentally and physically. But we just don't see that as an option or like a thing that we do. That's jogging is a white people thing. Like that's just, it is what it is. And maybe that's like changing. And it's not because of me. Like I'm part of it maybe, but there's run clubs all over this country that are started by young black folks that like have opened up space for anybody to come, but mainly for like other black folks to see like, oh, there's like two or three black people doing this thing. I'm about to pull up and see what they're talking about. And then the vibes are the same. It feels like something that we would do. So now you got these huge groups of people that are running down the street in Detroit and in New York and in Atlanta, whatever, So shout out to all those run clubs that are like doing that and really like doing the work in the space to get more people to see it's possible, And that's why sometimes people are like, why you run so many marathons? Like I did 4 this year so far.
This
like,
year, so you've done 4.
Yeah, I did 4 in February, March, and then I did Boston and London, so in April. And sometimes, like, that's just for me to be silly, like kind of like have some fun, do like take advantage of some of these opportunities. But I kind of think that's like, if someone's watching my Instagram and they don't run and they kind of want to, and they see me do 4 and like already this year, then they're like, well, I can run a 5K.
Right.
Like I could go jog. And that's all that really matters is like I want somebody to see me, see themselves in me, and go like, all right, we'll do something. Yeah, everybody doesn't have to run 4 marathons or any. Like that's the other thing too. Like a lot of times, like maybe it's just black culture, I'm not sure, but we feel like if we're going to do something, it has to be sweet. We got to do it like, I don't want to look stupid out on the street running, but that doesn't matter. Like it's about like whatever your journey is, drop the ego, worry about your health, and get out there. You don't have to run marathons ever. Like the goal is get out there and get healthier and move your body.
Yeah, that's what I try to tell people. And for me, it's been this crazy experience because, I can look at the watch and I can care about the time, but it's really the feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I would argue that of all the things I've heard you talk about today, it was that first run in Chicago, that half marathon where you ran a 150 or whatever it was. But it was a feeling of you and the accomplishment and being surrounded by family and friends. And that's really what recovery has given me. And that's what running has given me.
Yeah, for sure. And but then to talk about like the sobriety side of it is, since I've been sober 7 years, and the longer in the beginning, everybody that kind of knew was, oh, good job, this is great. But then the more you go, people start like actually like kind of inquiring and like, man, I probably need to think about that, and if I can be a reason why someone's curious about drinking less or smoking less or doing something less, then thank God I'm able to be here for that. Because like sobriety is one of those things where it's such a shift in like the thinking process of certain communities. Like to even think about not drinking or not doing anything is almost the opposite of what is cool and what's been taught. So if I can be the one or the few people that they see that's like, oh, okay, like he's kind of like me, he's cool, whatever. Maybe I could put down this drink for a little bit. Like I hope that's happening, And if it is, then I'm here for a reason.
Do you get the DMs? Do you get?
So I don't I do, but it's like a lot of my followers are like runners, so I kind of get it every now and then, especially if I like go into like my recovery bag real quick and start like talking. Then people go like, oh, that's amazing. And then people ask me some questions here and there. And that's actually my goal. Like in the fact that I'm about to turn 40. And like I said, my father didn't make it to that. In the last like 6 months, I've been really thinking about this day. Cause I didn't ever think I'd outlive him. Like I was very sure I was not going to outlive him. And I think I was okay with that. So to be here and do this, I want to make sure that my platform and my voice is fully authentic. Like I've been very clear and open about sobriety and all that stuff. But if I have the opportunity to talk about my sober journey more often and potentially save a life or change a life or something, then I have to do that. So like right now I don't get a bunch, but I would, every time I mention it and someone says that they know somebody that got sober or lost their lives in this fight, that means like the world to me. Like don't call me, hit me up, ask me about shoes, running shoes, but that's cool too. But those moments when it's like somebody actually was touched by like something I shared, like that's what I'm doing this for.
Yeah. Yeah, it's heavy. And I always say with this podcast and with these conversations, like if we help one person, one person sees this or sees one of these clips or one of these clips takes off and someone reaches out to you and asks for help, like we did our job for today.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
When was the first, do you remember like the first moment that after starting release that you were like it hit you that like you just, like you're about to change people's lives?
Yeah, it's probably a long answer. I
got time.
No, yeah, we got time. You flew here, man. So the journey of release is like 8 years now. We started the for-profit, and then we started the nonprofit in right before COVID. And I just remember sitting in treatment I was so convinced that I was going to die. I was so convinced that this was going to end with a needle in my arm and a crack pipe in my mouth, and my parents were going to get the phone call, and that was going to be it. And so when I was saved, like I believe I was saved by a higher power, a force outside of me, I knew that I just wanted to pay it forward. I knew I wanted to give this feeling to other people, while also understanding that I'm not God, right? Like I can't get anyone sober, and I'm certainly not going to get anyone drunk. And the best way that I was going to do that was by sharing my experience, just like we're doing here today and you're doing here today. And then the kicker was we had built a really nice organization. We were doing really good work, and the families and the alumni and people were getting well. And then I had this chance to go on TV, which was crazy, and I never expected it. And it was a total bizarre happenstance. And I talk about this a lot. I've been talking about it more lately because of the podcast, but there was a moment there where they basically, like the producer said, like, hey, it's time to tell your story. It's time to sit with this lady and tell her what's up. And I felt so calm and so safe and so protected in that moment because of everything you just talked about, right? It's the ability to really tell my story authentically, be proud of it, not be embarrassed. And once that happened, this thing took on kind of a life of its own. And you talked about going in your recovery bag every once in a while. I'm trying to get out of my recovery bag every once in a while.
Hey, do something different,
I keep
bro.
finding myself right back in it, talking about it. And so at some point, you just got to accept who you are and what your purpose is.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at today. Like you talked about your friends, bro. I got the group chat. There's 15 of us that I went to high school with.
That's too many people, man.
I know.
That's too many people.
We don't like all of them. No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
These are my guys. And I was thinking about dropping like some of my stuff in there, like as you were saying that. But it's such a good barometer because I think initially, when you get a little bit of the taste, you want to talk about your shoes and be a stylist and be this and be that and be like the voice on everything. And I had to recognize that, I'm here for a reason. And that primary reason is to share my love of recovery and all the great things that have happened as a result of that, which is I get to go to Philadelphia sporting events, and I get to run marathons, and I get to meet guys like you, and I get to be an entrepreneur, and I get to, do all these things, start a nonprofit, hire people, mentor people, because I'm sober. It's like where you started.
Yeah.
So I'm grateful. I want to read something to you because one of the things that we've done on the nonprofit side, I'm excited to get you involved. I'm thinking here, like Tommie Runz, he's a board seat. Like he's got to be overseeing our running. But anyway.
Give me a higher seat so I can look a little taller than at the table, bro.
So this is something that the producers of the show put together. And I'm just going to read it as is. And I just want to kind of dish to you. And I'm just curious, right? A vast body of research indicates that communities of color, including Black and African American people, have less access to substance use disorder treatment than white populations. This limited access contributes to disparities in healthcare service use and outcomes. So you, being someone that got sober, what do you hear when I read that?
It's the truth.
The truth.
Yeah, I mean, it's so many different things. It's, and that's why I'm happy and excited to be a part and help, and raise some money for, Release Recovery, because it's, luckily, I mean, I'm blessed to have not had to go the route of going to rehab. But if I did at the time, I know that I was privileged to have a job that would have paid for some of it, if not all of it. But that's not everybody. And unfortunately, in certain communities, either their job doesn't pay for it at all, or they don't have a job that would have insurance that would cover that or whatever. And even if like you're your insurance covers some of it, it's still an expensive process. So just the access and resources to go there if you wanted to are very limited. But then there's also a stigma around like needing help like that, like, or even talking about the fact that maybe you're addicted to drugs. Because if you're doing hard drugs, you're a crackhead. You know, like we didn't, and it's not like, oh, he needs help. It's like, oh, he a crackhead, so you just got to push him off to the side and like move on from this person, and you're just like ostracized, and like now you have like no resources, no friends, and now you just go into whatever that means for the next step. But it's I didn't grow up hearing people talk about therapy. I didn't grow up hearing people talk about recovery or not drinking. Only time you heard somebody say about not drinking was when somebody went a little too wild, like, hey, he need to stop drinking. But that's it. It's not about let's find some resources and help. So like the visibility of the possibility of rehab facilities and recovery are super low because no one's talking about it. But then also, if people wanted to, in our communities, not saying that for everybody, but as a whole, I think that there's just less access and ability to make that happen if they needed to. Because I don't even think I knew anybody that went to rehab until I was at a facility to go to a meeting at a rehab facility, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy. And even then I didn't see us or see me there, so I just think it's like, it's so many different, it's like systemic, it's everything, and it's sad. And I don't know, like it's kind of like it hurts to hear, because there's just so many people that like even I grew up around or near or saw, that like I'm thinking now like damn, like that's what they needed was like recovery. That's what they needed was rehab. Like, and I didn't even know at the moment to tell them like, oh bro, you go to rehab. I mean, and I'm just like casting like an opinion maybe, or like I would imagine like a 18-year-old white kid that like has a friend that's going through it, maybe not smart enough at that moment to tell his friend to go to recovery or go to rehab, but he knows it, like, because he's seen it and
Right.
He's seen kids get help. That doesn't happen. And that's the sad part. And that's part of like some of the representation, like, and I can't go too far deep in that bag because I didn't have to go. Or maybe I can, but I just didn't feel like I had a place to speak about like going to rehab because I didn't have that experience. But now that I'm saying that I can't do that, like, why can't I? Why can't I talk about that more, about the possibility and just being a voice that maybe it'll hit somebody the right way. Like, damn, like I could do that. Like, maybe that's what I need. Maybe I should figure out how to get there. Maybe I should hit up Release Recovery. Maybe I should hit up my insurance and see what I got.
Right.
But it's just, I'm like, I didn't disagree with anything in that. I mean, because I've seen it and just didn't know it was happening.
Yeah, it's something that, I mean, my experience, right? Like what I told you, I stepped onto a treatment unit, and it was a bunch of people that looked like me. And part of the reason we started the Release Foundation was to provide scholarship funding to underserved communities. So we saw women, like there's numbers out there that suggest, for every 3 men that get treatment, 1 woman, So we looked at that. We looked at the LGBTQIA plus community, and we looked at the Black and brown community, and we started a fund with a treatment center down in Maryland to serve that community. And it was interesting because for us, we truly just wanted to give back. Like, we truly just wanted to give people the gift of recovery. And for the most part, I mean, it has been and will continue to be supported and lifted up, and we're doing good work. But I've learned a lot from it. We'll get phone calls, and we'll tell people, hey, you can go down to this world-class treatment center. It sits on the Chesapeake Bay. It's beautiful. You're going to eat good food. You're going to be there 30 days. You're going to get cleaned up. You don't owe us a penny. We're going to write the check. and we'll get people that show up and they'll be there for 5 days and they'll call us and say, these just aren't my people.
Yeah. Yeah.
These just aren't my people, so I'm out.
Yeah.
And if you would have done that when you walked into that first meeting, your mom told you to go see a therapist, like, thank God, man. Thank God that you took that opportunity. And I believe that, like, you're just getting started.
Yeah. Yeah. And then and when you said like the 30-day thing, like the first thing I thought too is like certain people just don't have the ability to step away from their lives for 30 days, you know? Like in certain communities you're not thriving. I mean, you're in a survival mode at that point anyway. So there is no like I'll be back like 30 days later. Like if I'm gone for 30 days, at certain points in my life, if I'm gone for 30 days, everything falls apart. Like I come back to nothing. And I don't have, I'm not speaking for myself, but like I don't have like my mom to like fall back on or something to fall back on, and I have to like literally start from scratch. And that's not even starting from scratch. That's starting from below scratch now. So I think it's that too. It's like there's the ability to go get help and have like the leeway to do so, and have the support at home or in the community to get back on your feet once you get back. I think that's a scary thought.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's an age-old argument, therapeutic. Who can take
afford
30 days, right?
Yeah,
Who can take? And my response to that is always, you know, the way you started, the way I view my life. Without recovery, I literally have nothing.
Yeah.
So there's a blind faith that's involved. That if you take this 30 days and you work on yourself and you get sobered up and you get cleaned up, any opportunities that you're going to miss out on or hardships that you're going to experience as a result of being away, you know, are going to come back 5 times over if you just stay sober. But that's where, you know, for me, after the 30 days, it's the aftercare, and it's how are they being supported, and are they finding their community, and are they going back home, or are they staying or relocating or doing something new. And that's probably a whole nother conversation. All right, so Tommie Runz. First of all, you got to follow this guy on Instagram. He's a great follow. He's an inspirational follow. I'm going to be looking after all you to make sure you smash that button. TOMMIE.
Yeah, _RUNZ.
_RUNZ. Tommie Runz. He's changing the world. What else? Just tell us quick. What else you got going on? What's next for you? Where are you at?
Next for me is more races. I'm doing Berlin, Chicago, New York.
So 3 in a row.
3 in a row. So I already did the first 3 majors of the year. So I did Tokyo, Boston, London. So I'm going to finish out and do all 6 in one calendar year. and just like, I mean, I did the first 3, and, you know, Boston and London are 6 days apart. So I don't want to ever have to, like, think about possibly doing that again.
Were the times similar?
No, so Boston was like 320 something, because I was like I called myself taking it easy or whatever, but there is no easy in Boston. Like it's gonna suck. But London was cool. Like I think I ran like 301 or something like that in Boston. But I plan to just trying to coast through these next 3, have some fun, check that box of done all 6 in a year, and then, you know, kind of move on. But just continue to like try to grow the platform in a meaningful way, work with brands to just kind of increase exposure and do things that are cool and actually like experiences that people can like walk away with feeling. So, cause like as an influencer or content creator, it gets kind of like, for me, I'm like having a moment where I'm like, I want to do things that like feel like they matter more. And if brands want to do things that like, that touch communities or touch people, then I'm like 100% about that. I'll wear the shoes for sure, like while we're doing it. But if there's something that we can do to like make people walk away with smiles on their faces or feeling like they've got a new memory, that's what's up.
Yeah, they're out there. I mean,
Yeah.
Reebok's a global brand, and they just
That's all I congratulations.
Yeah, with
bro.
the Release
That's sweet.
Foundation and myself and some of the work we're doing, they said we're in, and I'm not. Reebok could go get anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, they could, right? Like I'm a realist about that. So there are brands, big brands out there that are going to see what you're doing, and if you keep chopping wood and carrying water, I believe that, you know, those opportunities you're going to start turning down opportunities because you're going to have so many.
I receive that. I receive that, bro.
Yeah.
I receive that. No, I mean, I think it's dope. I mean, because we all know that, you know, there's waves of different things that like brands are really into or companies are into for the moment. We've seen few different things in the last few years since COVID, but it's like I'm just gonna keep doing this thing and just see what happens, whether brands like rock with it or not. Like I want to continue to push towards like doing things that make me feel like I'm a contributing factor to like someone's life, or like giving back. Cause I have resources and contacts now. Like if I'm not using those, like what's the point of having 100,000 followers if you're not doing anything with them? I don't have 100,000, but like what's the point of having all those followers if you're not going to use that platform to like lift other people up with it?
I'll close with this. My buddy Blake Moynes, who was on the
I thought you were
show.
gonna say Griffin. I'm like, what's up?
No, yeah, Blake Griffin. I wish. No, but Blake Moynes, he was on the show with me, and we've remained friends for 4 years. And so he's does like all the wildlife stuff. He's a wildlife conservationist, and you know, he had some post this week with a picture of a girl, and people went nuts on it because they're like, are they dating? Are they not dating? And I don't even know the truth of it, but I texted him. I was like, bro, like, what world do we live in? Like the clickbait shit is what people are going to go nuts for. And then you post something about, you know, saving the world or bringing water back to a community that doesn't
like
have
next.
water. It's like 3 comments and 4 likes. It's like the people out there trying to save the world, bro. We don't always get the love, but we just got to keep doing what we're doing. So, dude, I appreciate you. I'm proud of you. I really am, and I'm proud to know you. And I feel like this is just the beginning of some cool shit we're gonna do together.
But I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. But thank you for like what you do and putting yourself out there, because like people like you, and then for like Rich Roll for me in the beginning, you show people that like being sober and living this and actually speaking about it isn't detrimental to like your life or your career. Like it actually opens up doors, and you actually can build on like your new truth and actually help other people. Like, so people like you are just so needed, and that's where I kind of want to fall for people, is like someone that told their truth and like bravely moved forward and showed me or someone else that there's higher options for us.
Dude, thank you. That means so much. Tommie Runz, love you, dog. Thank you.
Thanks, man.